Okay, for practice programming number 2, we're going to turn on both motors at full power, which is 127. You can't make the motors go any faster than 127, even if you type in 500. 127 is still the max speed. For 3 seconds, and then stop both motors. So let's go back to your desktop. Make sure you open up Robot C for VEX. Do not open graphical. If you open the graphical, it'll look different. The video won't make any sense. So make sure you open the Robot C that says VEX, and your screen should look like this. Now, if you remember from number 1, what's the first thing we have to do every time we open this software? Okay, good. Hopefully you remember. We go up here to Robot, and we go down to Platform Type. And if you look, mine defaulted back to VexIQ. I'm not supposed to be on VexIQ. I'm going to come down to Vex Robotics and turn it to Vex 2.0 Cortex. Vex 2.0 Cortex is where I need to be, but I also need to come back up to Robot, go back down to Platform Type, and turn on Natural Language. That natural language is really important. That's where I'm going to find all of my code. Once I've got my platform type correct, my platform type should be 2.0 Cortex and Natural Language PLTW. I'm going to go over to File and Open Sample Program. When I open the sample program, I might have to scroll down and find the PLTW folder. Once you're in the PLTW folder, you're going to open the template, and this is what you should see when you open this up. Before you type anything, go to File, Save As, click on this PC, and scroll down until you find the drive with your name on it. Open up the drive with your name on it and save your file there. I can't save my file there right now, but you should. We're going to call this one practice number 2. Save your work, and now we can get started. So the project title is going to be Practice Programming number 2. Your team member, it's just you for this because this is just practice, so it's just you. So type your name. I'm typing my name. Today's date for me is October 3rd. Type whatever the date is for you, if it's the 3rd or the 4th or whatever the day is. And your section number should be your bell number, whatever bell number you are. Go ahead and type it in. So for task description, I want to turn on both motors at full power for 3 seconds and then stop both motors. So I'm going to go back to my code and I'm going to type turn on both motors at full speed for 3 seconds, then stop both motors. Okay, there's my task description. My task description can be a sentence. My pseudocode, remember, is going to go one line at a time. Now, to turn on both motors, I'm actually going to have to turn them on one at a time. So I'm going to turn on the right motor. Then I'm going to turn on the left motor. Then I'm going to wait 3 seconds. Oh, when I turn on these motors, I'm going to turn them on at full speed, which is 127. I almost forgot that. Full speed is 127, so I'm just going to add that real quick. Go ahead and add it in for your code. And again, if you need to pause this video or rewind or rewatch it, do whatever you need to do. Pause it, rewind it, do whatever you need to do to get it done. And then after we turn on the right motor, turn on the left motor, and wait 3 seconds, we're going to stop both motors. So I'm going to turn off the right motor. And then I'm going to turn off the left motor. Okay, there's my pseudocode. So this code is actually going to be 5 lines long, which is pretty long compared to our first code. Save your work every now and then. Go ahead and click save so you don't lose your work. So now that we have all of our introduction filled out, we're going to come down here into task main. Remember, you don't really need this. If it makes you happy to delete it, go ahead and delete that. I'm going to come down here into task main, and I'm going to drag in my code. Do you remember where I go to get the code? That's right. I go to natural language, and I go to movement. This is where I find start motor. So I'm going to pull in my first start motor, and the first motor I'm going to turn on is the right motor. And the speed is going to be 127. The next line of code is going to be to turn on the left motor. So I'm going to pull in start motor. I'm going to type left motor and 127. Now remember, it is important that you capitalize that M. My next line of code is going to be to wait 3 seconds. So I'm going to come over here under natural language. I'm going to go to wait, and I'm going to drag in a wait time. I'm going to wait 3 seconds. And my last 2 lines of code are going to be to turn off the right and left motors. So I'm going to go back up to movement, and I'm going to pull in stop motor. I'm going to stop the right motor. And then I'm going to stop the left motor. Okay, are we finished? No, definitely not. We're still missing comments on the code, and we're still missing our motor and sensor setup. We don't have any pragma up here at the top. So if I try to compile my program, it's going to give me all kinds of errors. It's going to tell me I have undefined variables. I didn't tell the robot what the right and left motors are. So I need to come in and do the forward slashes. This line of code starts the right motor at full speed. This line of code, two forward slashes, starts the left motor at full speed. This line of code, 2 forward slashes, wait 3 seconds. This line of code, 2 forward slashes, stop right motor or turn off right motor. And this line of code, 2 forward slashes, stop the left motor or turn off the left motor. Now, if we compile again, we're still going to have these errors because we didn't do motor and sensor setup. So now that I have everything typed that I need to have typed, I need to come up here to motor and sensor setup. And I need to be in my motor port. If you're somewhere else like digital sensors or analog sensors, just come over here to motors. And now remember, we're going to use ports 2 through 9. So I'm going to put the right motor in port 2 again. And I'm going to tell the Cortex that it's a 393 motor. All of our motors are 393s. Those are the only motors we have. And in port 3, I'm going to put my left motor. It's also a 393 motor. I'm going to click apply, and I'm going to click OK. Now that I have my 2 lines of pragma up here, I can see port 2 is supposed to be my right motor, port 3 is supposed to be my left motor, and if I hit compile again, my errors should go away. If I still have an error, I'm going to need to look down here at the bottom and read the code and figure out what's wrong. Okay, now on your test bed, you are going to take your right motor, plug it in to a motor controller and plug it into port 2 on the motor side. And then you're going to take your left motor, plug that guy into another motor controller and plug it into port 3. Make sure you line up the red wire with the red wire and the black wire with the black wire on both of them. Those wires need to be lined up. And when you plug them in, that black wire needs to be on the outside. So when the black wire is on the outside, it'll go in a lot easier. If for some reason your port 2 and 3 don't work, you can use another port. You can use ports 4 and 5 or 6 and 7 or 8 and 9. But if you change the port in the Cortex, make sure you come back here into your Robot C and go to motor and sensor setup and change the port in here. So if you don't plug your motors into port 2 and 3, that's okay. Just make sure that you tell the robot where you plugged them in. Okay? Now, once you're finished plugging everything in and checking your code, click download to the robot, and you should see both of your motors spinning if you've done it correctly. Once you've done that, take your snip of your code, make sure you get the whole code, okay? And then copy and paste it into Teams so you get your points. And that is practice programming number 2. Good job, guys.